Now we know communications is a long-term game, but what is a lazy way to get articulate? So in this video, we're not going to talk about 50 exercises that you can do or tell you to read the dictionary and memorize words or just keep practicing over and over again. Instead, I'm going to give you one ridiculously easy technique that has helped me and it's helped other people speak a little more clearly, confidently, and most importantly, without overthinking. And this especially works in high pressure environments like an interview or a meeting. And it also works in casual environments like small talk. So if you struggle to find the right words and want an easy way to get this sorted, this might help. We're going to get into what are the biggest problems of articulation that are holding you back, what the lazy articulation method is and why it works so fast, how to apply this method with one simple tweak to your daily conversations. By the way, if you're new here, hey, my name is Hrideep from Frantically Speaking. If you're into communications content, we release that regularly, so hit subscribe. And if you want to take your communications learning to the next level, you can click the link in the description, check out our courses and see if we can work together. We are focused on training a lot of professionals improve their communications. And honestly, a lot of transformations that we've been seeing are not from people who are doing more, but doing less in a smarter way. So let's try to focus on that. So the biggest problems with articulation are three in my opinion. Number one is people who speak too quickly. I am one of them. Number two, when we are put under pressure, we don't have time to think, so that disorients us and we are speaking but not in a structured manner, which means we're not articulate. And number three, we tend to freeze up or ramble on, also known as the fight or flight response. So to tackle all of these, here is the laziest method to help you. And it's called the echo anchor. So we want to tackle three of those things. We want to slow down our pace of speaking. We want to give our minds a little more time to think so that we can avoid blanking out or rambling on. Now, I tend to focus a lot on frameworks and structures, but one person that really comes to my mind is one of the first few bosses that I had when I was in corporate, that he was a naturally gifted communicator. So even when he was put on the spot, he was able to make something relevant up. And I noticed that he didn't really use too many frameworks or structures, but he used this. But once when we were doing my performance review, he was there as well along with the HR person. And in front of me, for some reason, he was asked a question, which was, where do you see him growing this quarter? Now, he didn't expect a question at that time because he was simply put on the spot. And very rarely does a senior get asked a question in the performance review, at least that's how we worked. So I could see that he was put on the spot, but he simply responded by saying, growing this quarter? I'd say owning more client relations independently. And I thought that was so simply brilliant. Let's go back to it. So the question was, where do you see him growing this quarter? So what he did was he used the keyword, which was growing this quarter, the key phrase more so. He repeated it back to the person who asked him the question, and then he paused. And then he came back and answered it in one point directly. And I know this sounds really simple, but it does three things. Number one, it shows active listening. A lot of techniques that revolve around active listening are all about making the other person feel heard by repeating what they said. So this borrows a little bit of that technique. Second, it anchors your response in the listener's language. So it makes it easier for them to follow what you're saying. And most importantly, it reduces the mental load of knowing what to say first. Because if I know that I don't have the pressure of the first line that I have to say, it's a lot easier for my mind to follow after I've said the first few words. So if I know my first few words are just going to be mirroring what the other person said, it takes a lot of pressure off and I'm automatically able to say that to show that, hey, I've listened. I pause to think of a relevant response and then I answer. And you can go into multiple details, but it's best to stick to one sentence as long as possible to avoid rambling. So another example is if you're randomly asked, how do you think this feature will impact the onboarding process? Now you can say, I think it'll help to it'll improve customer experience and maybe refunds might reduce. Now the sentence that was said might be relevant, but because we were put on the spot, our mind is rushing to keep up with our mouth. But instead, if we anchor their response by simply saying, onboarding process, I think it'll improve customer experience and reduce refunds. It just makes it smoother. Now, the way you want to use this though is to combine the echo anchor along with something known as the keyword drop technique, which simply means after you anchor it, you pause and then speak up. This will allow your communication to have a natural bridge. So when you're asked a question, you anchor it, pause, and then move on. It'll buy you more time and you will sound more engaged. But what if you have to speak on a longer level? And along with this, what I've realized is one of the laziest methods to improve articulation is to understand what the biggest mistakes that are holding me back and that you and I might be making without even realizing it. So if you want to know what those mistakes are after this video, I highly recommend you check out this one right here.